Welcome to another episode of What's the TBV? I'm your host, Sue Jones. We're excited to launch our new Victorville City Library this month. As you can imagine, a lot of details go into launching a new facility. To learn about the building process and what goes into that, we're going to sit down with our building official, Joe Slegers. Why don't we start by having you tell us a little bit about your position?
I'm the city's building official by title. What I would say I'm in charge of, the department is made up of 3 different divisions. So we have standard building division, like most people understand it. It's a permitting function. We do inspections and plan review to make sure that things are code compliant, ultimately is the goal there. And then business license is another division of my department. And then we have fire prevention is another division of my department. And their function is really similar to what you see in building in terms of accepting plans, reviewing them for code compliance, issuing a permit, and then going out and doing inspections on those as well. But they have the added responsibility of doing what we call annual inspections to make sure that local businesses stay compliant, that they don't change their operating conditions in any way that makes it more of a hazard to themselves or the public. But in addition to that, they also do a lot on the public education side. You may have a convalescent home or a school or somebody reach out and say, hey, we'd like to be brought up to speed on, say, fire extinguisher safety or something along those lines. And so we will actually go out, mobilize, and go to the site and provide those trainings to try to enhance community safety.
What would you say, if you had to boil it up in a little nutshell, like what your primary purpose of the building department is?
To prevent something bad from happening inside of a building, keep people safe as we possibly can.
Could you tell us a little bit more about what business license does?
If you do business in the city, you need a business license. And that's the best way to, I guess, summarize it overall. But within that are a number of different types of businesses. It was only a few years back, I want to say maybe 7 to 10 years ago that we started doing the residential rental licensing. Some communities do that, some don't, but the ultimate objective there is to make sure that these properties are well maintained and, that our neighborhoods aren't, subject to blight, essentially. So we handle that process. But we also license vendors. We license in-city brick and mortar businesses. Along with those businesses, we make sure that they're meeting all their regulatory requirements. For instance, if you want to be a food vendor or you want to run a restaurant, we're going to make sure that you go through the health department's process. So really that process serves as kind of the clearinghouse for anything regulatory. We have to make sure that you have all the correct approvals in place before you can move forward doing business in our city. See, we like to think that we save lives preventatively. We're not as heroic maybe as police and fire, but if we can stop it from happening, it's actually an even better scenario.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thinking about working for city government, what's your favorite part of that?
I really enjoy the team that I work with. Even amongst our leadership here, I feel at home.
If you had to say your least favorite part of working for city government, what would that be?
California is a tough state to work for in the sense that there's always something new coming down. They come up with a lot of requirements, and those requirements are not only hard on us as a city at times in terms of how we do business, but trying to convey those things to customers. At times, there's so much to the codes, there's so much that's in there. Sometimes you even feel like, okay, am I forgetting the basics? I was so busy making sure that this building had the right lighting and switches, and did I remember to make sure that they had exits? That's kind of more important, right? Just the volume of the regulation in this state can be challenging.
And you're the person who gets to communicate a lot of this to potential developers, people or organizations or businesses that want to come in and build a new project in our city, like a new business. How does the building department support new development in our city?
I think a lot of it has to do with our approach. I mean, obviously the main objective always is making sure that what you're approving is a set of plans that meets code. I think a lot of jurisdictions are kind of just my way or the highway about it. Communication is not good. Here, I try to, at least to the extent that we can, have a relationship with these people and kind of understand. Target as an example, for instance. We already have a pretty extensive relationship with the architect preparing those plans, actually well before the plans even came in, as well as the developer themselves and a number of the consultants that they use. We've had a number of conversations with them about not only the target building, but the other surrounding buildings and the other parts of that project. I understand what it's like to deal with those people that come in heavy-handed and they enjoy their authority maybe a little too much. And we try not to have that approach. We try to be a catalyst to the development process, help them get through the permitting process, help them secure permits, and then ultimately, help them to be able to build their project as quickly as they possibly can, and ultimately to do business in the city and generate tax revenues.
What are some of the favorite projects you've ever worked on?
So it's almost like I have to separate that between private development and city development, because there's been some cool ones on both sides. I can think back to kind of when we went through the process with a company called Exquadrum that's out at SCLA. And they do like rocket testing, and they're currently working on equipment for the lunar lander. And it was just really cool to see what they do and to kind of help them find a new home here in Victorville. That's one that kind of comes to mind on the private side. On the public side, very much enjoying working on the library. It's been a challenge, no doubt about that, but it's coming along really well. Looks really cool. And it's cool to be a part of something.
Can you use the library as an example and kind of tell us what went into getting the library ready to open, from your building perspective?
This thing really kind of was born in management's mind, I think back in about 21. We started looking into, okay, now we got to get a designer on board. And so we put out a request for proposals, got responses. And I believe it was in March of 22, we ended up going with a firm called Thomas Riggle Designs. We call them TRD for short. Really, the design was their idea for the most part, but obviously with a lot of city input. That was fun to be a part of, right? To sort of brainstorm and dream this thing up. But then you move into ultimately advertising it for construction. And even within that time period, the scope changed quite a bit. When we started, we were just going to renovate some of the interior space. And we were lucky enough to land a $9 million grant through California State Library. But it allowed us to add 5,000 square feet to this thing in a way that provided a much better children's library area. In the end, a cooler project. That's the part of the building we, sort of affectionately refer to as the Millennium Falcon. So to be able to add that into the scope was really cool. Consider that from kind of inception of the idea to now, we're still not quite done, and we're into 2026. So realistically, from beginning to end, it's about a 5-year process to get something like that done. From a building official's perspective, as opposed to a project manager, it's a little odd because you almost feel like they're competing objectives some of the time while you're going through the process. And, I'm out there telling them that they need these other things to comply with code, but then I have to turn around and put my project manager hat on and think, well, what exactly is that going to cost? What's the cheapest, most effective way to do that? That part has been a little bit of a challenge, but a good one in the end. And again, this helps me with the whole empathizing with the builder thing, right? Because I see the struggles that they go through.
Are you staying on top of the contractors and making sure they're doing what was planned?
Eddie Gleason, our facilities manager, has been rock star as far as being a co-project manager with me through the course of this thing. But the two of us, that's a big part of our function. It's making sure that they're following the approved plans, making sure that they're staying on schedule, making sure that they're not skimping on anything per se that is specified by the plans, that we're getting the materials. And what's tough from my perspective is I've only really ever been in charge of code compliance when it comes to that kind of stuff. Not necessarily concerned with what's pretty. Maybe that's more of a planning thing to look at the aesthetics of things. But in this case, I have to kind of look at all of that and wrap all that into the budget and making sure that all that works. It's a much more holistic view of how something is supposed to turn out ultimately, I'll say, than my normal role in a development project.
How exciting for y'all to be a part of something that's going to be so monumental for the community.
This kind of thing that I look at and I think, man, drive by this when I'm retired still, and people will still be going to the library and checking out books, and it's something that I can tell my kids or grandkids even someday, hey, I was part of that. I got to help build that, and maybe they'll even go into that library, you never know.
What are some other major projects your team is working on for 2026?
Well, we talked about the Target Center. I think that's probably a big one in terms of private development. There's going to be a lot of other outbuildings and users that are going to be within that project that I think people will be excited about. SCLA is going nuts. Obviously, the amount of square footage that we've constructed out there in such a short period of time is been pretty cool to see in my time here. I don't expect that to slow down anytime soon. We have some good developers out there that are building really quickly. The police station would be a really good example. I've been lucky enough to be part of that process as well. So many, I don't know. I can't even name them all.
Joe, thank you so much for joining us and sharing the information about what building department does. You have such a great responsibility for caring for safety in the various buildings in our city, and I really want to thank you and your team.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
In the second part of our show, we're going to sit down with our city librarian, Arnold Castro, to learn about the features of our new library. Well, Arnold, thank you so much for joining us. Why don't we begin by having you describe your job with the city?
I am the city's city librarian. I manage the library division, the library itself, and all the employees that work there at the library.
What do you like most about working for city government?
What I've liked the most so far is the sense of community that is in this city.
Well, what is it that you like least about working for city government?
For me so far, it's the amount of time it takes to take an idea to an actual finished project or finished product or something that we can say it's done.
So we have you here to talk about our library. I'm curious to know, what is your favorite programming, or what's your favorite part about working for the library?
To come in and see the library as a vital part of a community and the things that the library offers to that community, and the fact that our city owns its own library, and to see everything that we can do for our patrons that come to the library in our community.
It's interesting. Some people may think of the library as just, I go there to check out a book.
Right.
But there's so much more, right?
Yes.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about the offerings and what you can do at the library?
The library is not your normal commercial you watch on TV where a librarian sitting there telling people to shush anymore. It's a technology hub. People can come there, they can use the public computers that we have. They can print things that they need to have printed, not just from our computers. They can print from their phones, they can print from their laptops. But we also offer programming, children's programming, adult programming. We are a passport acceptance facility, so people can come to us and we take their applications and process them. So that's another service we offer to the community that you can't find in any libraries up here in the high desert. We offer digital platforms, so people don't have to come to the library if they don't feel comfortable coming there and they like reading electronic books. They can come get a library card from us and enjoy all of our digital platforms that we offer.
So you mentioned classes. Could you give some examples of some of the classes that you have, or some of the programs that people could sign up for?
We offer daily programming for children, kinder prep. We offer story times, special events. For the adults, we're going to really expand. We were offering computer literacy courses. We're also going to offer other literacy type classes, and we're going to add a lot more adult programming, book club or crafts that they can come and do, artistry, those types of classes.
What was the impetus for the new library?
The old library, it was built in the early 1970s for a population of about 11,000 people. Move forward to 2026, and here we are with a population of over 142,000 people, and we're trying to service this community with an 8,500 square foot library. Well, that doesn't work. We need the space to do more, so this is why we're getting a new library.
So how much larger is the new library than the current library?
So the new library is located on 7th and Green Tree Blvd, connected right to the pro shop for the golf course. It will more than double us in size. So our current library is 8,500 square feet, and the new library is over 16,000 square feet.
And the renovation, the construction that happened was really to just expand that building.
So the previous librarian was able to secure a grant from California State Library, which allowed us to add a 5,000 square foot addition to the building that was currently there. That's what enabled us to go to over 16,000 square feet in the new library. And that new addition is actually the new children's area for the library.
So the expanded space that you've got, with this new library, what is it enabling the library to offer?
For one thing, we now have a outside patio off of our children's area, which we can do outside activities with now. We're very limited with the space we have in our current library because the children's area is tiny. So we have that. So we're planning outside events now. The actual children's area has its own workroom where they can do all their projects and create them there. And then it actually has a dedicated craft area or work area for the children's programming, so they can do that there. We will now have a dedicated teen space for our teens to hang out in. It has nice, comfortable chairs in it. It'll have a TV in there. And at some point, we're going to put some kind of gaming system in there for them to use while they're hanging out in there. What's really going to benefit is our adult programming, which was really very minimal or non-existent because we just did not have the space to do it before. One of the other areas is we have what's called a makerspace now. It will have 3D printers, laser cutters, sewing machines, Cricut machines, if you know what that is. We will be able to make programming around those devices that we now have the ability to have classes with.
So thinking about all the programming y'all offer, and it's extensive, what is the most popular program the library offers?
I think that's going to change because of what we're going to be able to offer, but our most attended programming right now is our children's programming, especially the special events that we have. You know, we do a May the 5th be with you, or more May the 4th be with you, whatever that day falls in May, where we can celebrate Star Wars. Those are the most popular ones right now, but I see that changing in the future just because of what we have the ability to offer now.
I know from experience, one of your popular ones too is your Harry Potter party.
Yes.
And the pictures that come from that make it seem like it's such an exciting event for people to go to.
It is an exciting event, and I'm thinking with the new library, we might be able to expand that to an all ages Harry Potter party. It was just limited to certain age groups prior to this because we just didn't have the size to have it. But now I think we can expand that.
How many patrons do you have at the library in a given year on average?
About 64,000 visitors a year.
And it's such a small library.
It is.
My goodness. So I would assume with the expansion, you might get more patrons even.
That's what we're hoping. We're going to be able to service more of our community, being able to offer more to them. We'll probably bring more of them in, and it's an exciting time for us.
Do you know if there are future plans for expansion or further expansion?
Expansion-wise, we're at capacity now. Where we will expand is in the programming, as we've talked about. On another level, we have our Friends of the Library putting little free libraries at different parks in the city, and those are maintained and books are put in there weekly for people to go and take a book, leave a book. That is the motto for the little free libraries. The library is also getting a brand new mobile library van, and we expect to be doing pop-ups all over the city. The van will have items in it for checkout, so we'll be able to come to you, check out books to you. We can get you a library card while we're there. So that's another thing that we're expanding on. And then lastly, we do have what's called a 24-hour library kiosk at Sunset Ridge Park. That kiosk holds 235 items. So if you have a library card, you can go up to that kiosk and browse what's there. You can pick what you want and put your library card there and check it out, or you can actually return books there.
How neat. And that was a great way to expand the reach of the library to another part of the city, because we have a very large city.
That was always a concern of how do we bridge that I-15 freeway and get to the community that lives on the other side of the freeway.
Thinking about the new library, what's your favorite feature?
I think I have a couple of features. One of them is this new makerspace that we're offering that gives us the ability to teach classes. People can come and sew things. They can do a 3D printing of almost anything they can imagine. They're Cricut products, so they could come in and make a mug with a design on it. They could do t-shirts if they wanted to. Then we're also going to have what's called a laser cutter, and that laser cutter can cut almost any material you can think of. But that's just one aspect we can offer. We have a brand new multi-purpose room that's set up for us to be able to have events there, or rent it out to let people use it to have an event there. We do passports at the library, and we have a brand new passport office that is very nice. So we're kind of excited to expand our passport operations a little bit, offer more appointments every day. On top of that, the children's area is just phenomenal.
What I hear you saying is it's really going to become an even greater hub for the community.
I agree with you, yes.
That's wonderful. And to think of all those amenities and different services and I get real excited to think that, this is offered to our residents. And well, really, it's not, you don't have to be a resident, right?
We do offer library cards to the surrounding cities in the high desert. We have many patrons that do come and get library cards with us and come to our libraries also from other cities.
What are the upcoming programs our community can look forward to?
With the children's programming, we're going to continue to offer those special events. For example, in April, we will celebrate Earth Day. Last year, we partnered with an organization that gave us trees to give to our juvenile patrons ages 0 to 17. We gave over 500 trees away. We're planning on doing that again this year. In March, we're going to celebrate National Reading Month. And part of that is our In and Out Reading Challenge, where the patrons can come in and do their reading, and they could qualify for a free burger from In and Out. This summer, for the first time, we're partnering with the California State Library and Victor Elementary, and we're going to do a summer lunch program, a lunch at the library program. The school district has offered to come in and take care of the food side of it for us, and so that it will allow us to concentrate on the programming side of it, and we'll do it all together at the same time at the library.
That's going to be when the students are off on their summer break,
Yes.
and then they'll have a place to go and still get their meal and then get some learning at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's a great program.
Look on our website, look at our social media. We will be putting out there what we have coming up that's going to be offered with all of our programming.
Well, I am so excited for you and the staff, Arnold. I have gotten a sneak peek of the new library, and it is gorgeous. I really am appreciative of all the work that you and your staff have put in, not only with the new library, but all the programming that you offer to our community. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. What's the TBV is produced by the City of Victorville. If you have a topic you would like to see on future episodes, leave a comment or review on your preferred platform.